Ever heard the saying, when life gives you lemons, make lemonade? Well, we've got a modern twist for you. When life gives you lemons, grab tequila and salt. Welcome, friends, to a whirlwind of wit and wordplay, where we take the old and give it a hilarious new spin. You see, quotes are like the salt of conversation. They add that extra zest, that punch. But what if we could make them even better? Imagine if, instead of warning us that all that glitters is not gold, someone said, all that glitters might just be a kid's glitter bomb? Or what if, instead of advising us to look before we leap, we were cautioned to look before we accidentally step on the cat's tail? That's what we're here for today, folks. We're going to explore the funniest, quirkiest, most belly laugh-inducing twists on famous quotes that you never knew you needed. Now brace yourselves for more hilarity as we dive into the world of twisted quotes. Here's a quote you might find amusing. To be or not to be, that is the question. But here's a funnier twist. To be or not to be, why is that even a question? Now let's keep the hilarity rolling. Ever heard time heals all wounds? Well, how about time heals all wounds, but who's got the time for that? And who can forget the pen is mightier than the sword? But here's a more laughable take. The pen is mightier than the sword, unless you're in a sword fight. And finally, remember, all's well that ends well? Let's flip it. All's well that ends well, but who says it's the end? These are just a few examples of how we can add a dash of humor to some of the world's most famous quotes. So if you've managed to keep your sides from splitting, hold on tight, we're not done yet. We've saved the best for last, folks. Remember the saying, the pen is mightier than the sword? Well, in today's digital age, the keyboard is mightier than the pen and the sword. Let's keep this laughter train chugging along. How about this one? An apple a day keeps the doctor away. But in our world, an Apple device a day keeps boredom at bay. Or take the classic, all that glitters is not gold. But we all know, all that memes is not old. And now, the pièce de résistance, the most hilarious take on a quote you've ever heard. To be or not to be? Ah, Shakespeare, you old bard. But in this age of indecisiveness, isn't it more like, to binge or not to binge? Well, there you have it, folks. A dose of hilarity to brighten your day. And remember, a day without laughter is a day wasted. Or should we say, a day without YouTube is a day wasted. Before we wrap up, let's rewind and relive the funniest moments of our hilarious quote journey. Let's take a moment to chuckle at our first misquote. To be or not to be, that is the question. But seriously, who cares? Oh, Shakespeare, if only you knew how we'd twist your words. Remember when we took a swipe at Benjamin Franklin? Early to bed and early to rise makes a man healthy, wealthy, and bored out of his mind. Nothing like a little sleep humor to get us giggling. And who could forget our humorous take on Neil Armstrong's famous words, "That's one small step for man, one giant leap into a puddle." Finally, we laughed our hearts out with the reinterpretation of the only thing we have to fear is fear itself, and spiders, definitely spiders. And that's a wrap. Remember, laughter is the best medicine, or in our case, YouTube is the best medicine. Stay tuned for more hilarity.